taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast, hour number 2 here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty. Great to have everybody with us. Big second hour ahead. We'll start Golf Wednesdays with Cam Stewart. We'll give you the picks, the outrights, the top 10s and 20s, the first-round leader bombs for the RBC Canadian Open. We have Coach Young with the Lion's Share. Davis Maddock will be by as well. We have baseball that we have to start to get to, including a bunch of afternoon games that are underway. The Cardinals did add on, by the way, 5-2 as they go to the bottom of the ninth in Cincinnati for that one. And Skeens is back on the hill for the Pirates in the bottom of the second in Detroit against the Tigers. Second game of the doubleheader. Tigers won the first game 8-0 behind Skubal, who was outstanding. A few things from last night, Joe, before we get to tonight's games. Let's start in Anaheim. The Yankees, of course, are on a very long 3-city West Coast trip. They took 2 out of 3 in San Diego over the weekend, and they opened a series last night in a place that they never play well. Doesn't matter if Anaheim's good, bad, or whatever. The Yankees always have trouble when they go into that building. Had a lead last night, late, could not hold it. Bottom of the 8th inning, Taylor Ward putting the Angels ahead for good on Bally Sports West.
Like Taylor Ward, and he hits one hard toward left field, pretty deep. Verdugo going back. It's over his head. It one hops the wall. It scores Moniak. Here comes when he fell around third. Big hit delivered. Taylor Ward, a 2-run double, and the Angels lead it 4-3.
There you go, Joe. And the Yankees, of course, were not able to even it up in the top half of the ninth. For me, Joe, I'm still not quite there. Me and you talk about this a lot because we'll have fun on the radio show at night. If we're on when the Yankees are playing. I don't believe yet. You could try to gas the Yankee fans up. I'm still not quite there. And I think it's for stuff like last night. I'm ready for the other shoe to drop at some point. You thought it was going to be last week. They lost those first 2 games in that Seattle series, and then they ended up responding by winning the next 2, and then they played pretty well in San Diego over the weekend. But there's a couple arms in that bullpen. I don't think that great. Now, their starting pitch has been excellent. It's hard, and they haven't even had Cole all year. But I just feel like, Joe, maybe you rubbed off on me a little bit. I feel like eventually they're going to hit a really big slide at some point over a 2-week stretch, a month stretch, whatever it is. And this great start that they're off to is going to go up in smoke.
Yeah, it could be when they face the Orioles and the Rays and, all those AL East opponents, Toronto, that sometimes could be tricky. And I know Toronto's dead last and they're 5 games under 500, but they've been scoring some runs lately. And again, I think a lot of teams match up well from just, playing the New York Yankees. Right now they're feasting on, I believe, mediocre competition, but we'll see how it plays out. There's a long season, Carver. What do we have, 50, 58 games under our belt for the most part? I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We're not even close to the middle part of the season.
We're really not. You're really not close. There is still a lifetime to go in all of these games. Usually Memorial Day, as I was saying yesterday, is kind of like the first time you really want to peek your head in at the standings and see where everybody is. But there is so much more baseball to play. Mets and the Dodgers are about to start. We said that they swept the doubleheader yesterday. The Mets actually just announced, Joe, that they're putting Edwin Diaz on the IL. Now, Diaz has had a real bad go, Joe. He has had a lot of issues. He's blown a ton of saves. There's some thinking here, and they're calling it elbow inflammation. I think it's more than that, Joe. I think they just need to go give him a rest mentally for a couple weeks because he's been, like I said, he hasn't been able to get anybody out. And the Mets have had a lead in quite a few of these games. They brought him in, and it's gone up in smoke.
It has, I mean, the Mets, are the Mets. What can we say? I mean, this is it. This is what it's all about. I mean, they played down to the level of competition, and they're going nowhere. So we'll see what transpires over the next few weeks, Carver. But again, not high expectations in regards to New York.
Shoulder impingement, Joe. I apologize. Shoulder impingement was the announcement.
Let me just say, impingement is I'm telling you, it's a lingering issue, and I'm not a doctor, but when you have a shoulder impingement, that's always a problem, and that lingers throughout the season unless you take multiple weeks off.
In the month of May alone, he blew 4 saves and ended up giving up the lead in another one where it was tied. That was the Miami game. He didn't get a loss. They gave up 4 runs in a third of an inning. He's had just a miserable month. An 8.6 ERA in the month of May for Edwin Diaz.
Are they still playing the song?
The trumpets? The trumpets out?
Smashed! Where's that song now? And I live in New York. I can't stand that song.
Red Sox
so
beat
annoying.
The Orioles 8-3 last night. A's beat the Rays. The Braves bounced back and did beat the Nationals 2-0. Still having some problems with their offense, but when Max Fried pitches as well as he did last night and puts up bagels all across the board, they'll be okay. It helps with Marcell Ozuna's going yard as well on Bally Sports South.
Marcell Ozuna hits his high and deep to left center, and Atlanta has the lead in the 7th on a big fly from the Big Bear.
Oh, the Big Bear, Joe, going big fly. And a little bit later on, I do have some for you in terms of the Braves and the NL East and where they're going to be, especially now, Joe, that they're not going to have Ronald Acuna Jr. For the rest of the year after tearing the ACL. So a big loss for them. The offense has been kind of hit or miss. You know, they haven't been even before Acuna got hurt, Joe, they had not been as explosive as they were last year, and especially in terms of the long ball. Now, Ozuna has been, but I don't feel like they've gotten as much, from Olsen in terms of home run ball. Riley missed a couple weeks, really about a week and a half, 10 days. He hasn't given you as much with the long ball. That's what would worry me for Atlanta, Joe, going forward.
Yes and no, Carver. Couple of things. We talked about this in terms of Atlanta. They punched themselves out last year being so dominant, right? I sort of might buy in to Atlanta, like they have to generate runs. They're just not smashing teams. Remember last year, almost every Atlanta game was a dead over. It's like, who's going to homer? Like 6 guys, 7 guys, 8 total, 9 total, over. Now they have to play small ball, and they're still winning ball games, right? I like that recipe for the playoffs because, again, they're generating runs, they're winning some close games, and that's what it takes to move ahead in regards to not just winning an NL championship, but you got to win in a World Series, right? So I sort of buy into Atlanta now because they're not as explosive and they're sort of generating these games. I mean, I still think they have value. I like them better now that Acuna's off the board because now a lot of people are saying, they're dead and buried. Here's the other thing. You called him the Big Bear. Is that Shane Lowry hitting home runs?
No.
The Big Bear? I know.
That's the Irish Bear, Joe.
Oh, the Irish Bear. Oh,
Shane Lowry. And you'll hear a lot about the Irish Bear next segment because I believe that me and Cam both reading the same mail. Have the Irish Bear at the RBC Canadian coming up this weekend. One more I wanted to give you, Joe, really fast. Let's play this before we go to break. Yeah. And that's Josh Naylor, who we gave you yesterday on Tater Time to hit a home run last night. He didn't hit 1, Joe. He hit 2 on Bally Sports, Ohio.
The pitch. Through the deep right field. Way out of here.
Great call.
A second deck job for Josh Naylor. And another 3-run blast, his second in as many innings. And it's now 13-7 Cleveland. Oh,
how about that, goodness. Joe? How about that?
Like
Naylor,
that.
Big fly for us yesterday on Tater Time. Smash. Is Joe going to go after it again tonight? I bet he is. With Cleveland still in Colorado. We're back coast to coast right after this.
And any book that has Mason Miller is not only not listed, he's not even priced. Like Colton Cowser is priced as if Mason Miller doesn't exist.
They don't think he's going to meet the innings required, minimum, whatever things. That there might be some stipulations. They're going, we're going to put him in there, and he's not going to be eligible to win. And we're going to have to give all the bets back.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify in these majors. You got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness. And I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we're back for El Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday, a golf Wednesday, as you can tell on C2C. Carver High in for Scotty. And as we begin Golf Wednesdays, we do every week with Cam Stewart. You see him on Sports Rage Late Night at Night, and every Wednesday here with me as we get you ready for this week's PGA Tour event, which heads north of the border, up to Cam, the RBC Canadian Open in Hamilton. Cam, tell me about this place.
I don't know, Carver. You send me the pics, and I feel more like I'm the American president and the new Prime Minister of Canada, Mike Carver. Like, dude, I'm going to give you the key to the country, the way things are going. We'll get to the pics later. Hamilton is an old-school golf course, and let me tell you, I worked at a course very similar, very short, just over 7,000 yards, Mike, par 70. And here's the deal. It doesn't have a lot of defenses. It's one of those things. And I talked to Gabe and I talked to others about it this week with Mayo and all these other guys. I really hope that they, like, you got to grow the rough. Like, I don't want a Canadian Open where it's like minus 30. I'll never forget the time they had it at Shaughnessy in Gabe's backyard in BC. The winner, Sean O'Hare, at 4 under. Remember good old Sean O'Hare from Pennsylvania? Yeah, I interviewed him at the Canadian Open back in the day. Great guy. He's been through a lot in his life, and he won in a playoff over Chris shooting blank. Was it blanks? I think it might have been blanks. Anyway, it was like minus 4 under. It's a national championship. I don't want to see a guy shooting minus 40. Remember the winner of the Desert Classic, Joe Durant, minus 42. I don't care. It's not a U.S. Open, British Open, whatever, but you can't have a guy winning at like 35 under, but we'll see what happens here. Apparently the guys say it's pretty easy, but maybe they're tricking us. I'm going to tell you one thing about Hamilton, though. You got to drive the ball straight. A lot of trees, a lot of, like, you know what it is, Carver? It's that old school course that you play, right? Got to keep it straight. Got to hit greens. And if you do that, you'll do very well. And I looked at our picks, and we took a lot of guys that do that. Guys who put it down the middle, put it on the greens, and who's got the hot putter this week when Nick Taylor hit that 90-footer? For you, as one of my favorite Americans,
to win the Canadian Open. I'm actually going to lose my status right now. After my cabinet meeting, I looked at Carver's golf picks and went, Canadian. I'm done. You're now the Prime Minister, buddy. I'm gone. Been a pleasure.
There's definitely going to be a theme with my selections when we get there, Cam. We're going to get there in a moment because we only have so much time. I will tell you, Rory is here this week. He's won this tournament a bunch of times, including the last time it was at Hamilton. But, I mean, Cam, he's plus 360, which is Scheffler at the PGA Championship and the Masters a couple weeks ago. You're getting that kind of a number for Rory here. And I'm not telling you, Cam, I don't think he might come out and smash everybody again this week because he absolutely could, but we are not going to go after him, that's for sure. I mean, we're going to go after him. We're not going to take him with any of our picks. Fleetwood's here, Tagala's here, Corey Connors, Sam Burns, Shane Lowry. That is the chalk at the top of the board, as you see there, for the RBC Canadian Open. Let's get into it, Cam, and I'll tell you who I got first, and we will roll the ball right down the hill. You mentioned it. A lot of Canadians for me. I bookended them, though, Cam, with a couple of my guys. And first, at the top, in my more of chalk pick, is the Irish Bear, Shane Lowry, who finished second to Rory last time they were here in Hamilton in 2019. We love the way the Irish Bear has been playing this year. I just feel like, aside from that team win with Rory, he's going to bust through on his own at some point this year. Maybe it's this week at 22-1. Here's my Canadian roster, Cam. Corey Connors at 25-1. Mac Hughes at 35-1. Adam Hadwin gets a little payback. He's going to make Nick Taylor stand there and take a spear from a security guard when he wins at 50-1 this week. And there's Nick Taylor. I got to tell you, Cam, the Nick Taylor prices this week, I know he's not playing as well as he did in January and February when he won the Waste Management, but for him to be longer down the board than Mac Hughes and Adam Hadwin doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I think Nikolai Højgaard at 80 seems a little off for a guy that we've just seen played well at the Masters, has played well at other tournaments. I know he's been rough the last 2 or 3 times out. 80-1 for Nikolai, I'm on it, Cam, for the long shot.
I love you, Carver. Canadians love you, too. I'm going with the Irish Bear, our beautiful world philosophy. Peace for everybody with Shane Lowry. We love the Irishman. Guinness is for everybody. Alex Noren, let's head to Sweden at 28. Tom Kim, perfect type of course for him. Just hit it straight. Ryan Ginger, 42. Ashke Batea seems like a popular pick with the golf nerds. And then I'm going deep. I love Matt Wallace, and I'm telling you, Matt Wallace plays really well on short courses. Him and Nate Lashley, Carver, all my losers are coming back to roost tonight in Canada. But I'll tell you, I've never seen you with 4 Canadians out of 6, Carver. Proud of you, buddy.
There's 25 of them in the field this weekend. We got 25 Canadians in the field. All right, here we go. We got to move. Top 10 to 20. I'm going Rory with the top 5 at plus 105. Tagala, I'll go with the top 10 at 220. There's Hadwin again. T10 at 450. Tom Kim, I'll ride you here, Cam. Top 20 for Tom at plus 160. Ryan Crazy Like a Fox. A T20 at plus 300. Let's go. And Novocaine. Andrew Novak, T20 at plus 450. Are you kidding me, Cam? Let's go.
Great prices. Fleetwood, top 10, plus 180. He might not win, but I'm going to go with Mackenzie Hughes. This is my Canadian content. Top 20, plus 180. Hadwin, plus 185, and top Canadian. Mac Messner, plus 170. Matt Wallace, plus 120 for a top 40. And Moops, Ryan Moore, let's go top 40, Carver. What else you got for me? First round leaders, buddy.
First round leader bombs. I'm going with my same strategy. Most of these guys all going off very early in the morning tomorrow. Keith Mitchell at 50-1. Nick Taylor at 65-1. There's Svensson, another Canadian at 70. Mark put the Hubbard in the cupboard at 75. Johnny Vegas has played great in Canada, 100-1. Justin Sudd, $110. And Matthew Naismith at 120-1, Cam. Get him in for me.
First round leaders, Tagala 35. This guy can't win. Mr. Thursday, Cameron Young. Mackenzie Hughes, he's a Canadian at 50. Eric Von Ruin, we got him at 65. Svensson's a Canadian at 70. And Matt Wallace, baby. Give me Braveheart. Slash them all at 90-1. Let's go, Carver.
Canadian Open picks with Cam Stewart. Let's have a big week and have some tickets.
any book that has Mason Miller is not only not listed, he's not even priced. Like Colton Cowser is priced as if Mason Miller doesn't exist.
They don't think he's going to meet the innings required, minimum, whatever things. That there might be some stipulation that they're going, we're going to put him in there, and he's not going to be eligible to win. And we're going to have to give all the bets back.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall Coast to Coast, here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Good to have you with us. Good job by Cam to start Golf Wednesdays there. We barely got it all in, Joe. We were flying through all the picks there. I don't know if we have too many of your guys this week, Joe, but there's actually a few guys tonight on the radio. We'll find you because there's a lot of, obviously, more Canadians than usual in this field because it is the Canadian Open. We'll have to find you some deep shots, Joe, for the home country tonight on the radio show for you to back this week.
Yeah, I mean, I've been keeping an eye on the Sam Stride out of Australia and Emilio Magliano, the kid from Italy that's been playing and ripping up the amateur courses. I've been keeping an eye out on them. I'm just saying, why can't I? Oh, you see, the minute that I go off the rails, that's it.
You make fun of the golf. It makes it not the same when you make.
Tell me that's not a name.
You were involved in such a sweat last week with Billy Horschel, that top 10.
No, I cashed out. Thanks to you. Thanks to you. But I should have cashed out. It cost myself like $115. I had him. He was hot in round one. I should have just cashed out. When the guy was 2 under in round one, he was giving me
It's all right.
You're
okay, Joe. You made it through. Pirates now have a 3-1 lead over the Tigers after a 3-run homer from Andrew McCutchen. That is in the top of the third, second game of that doubleheader in Detroit. Phillies now lead the Giants 2-0. They're underway at Citi Field, Dodgers, Mets. They're underway in San Diego for the Marlins and the Padres. And Corey Seager, Joe, who hit a homer last night, and then he hit one again this afternoon. He's got 8 homers in his last 8 games. And yes, Joe, we did have Corey Seager this afternoon in a Put It With the Golf play. So we continue to build the portfolio for this week at the RBC Canadian Open with him. All right, a few things I want to sneak in with you here before we get to tonight's games, which we'll probably do after I talk to Coach Davis. I want to give you these NL East odds. This is with after Acuna going down. Last week, Braves were minus 145 favorites. Now, Phillies minus 190 favorites. Braves plus $1.60. 70% of the money is on the Phillies to win the division now that Acuna's hurt.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Everybody's back in the Phillies, but I still like the Braves. I think they're playing small ball. Like I said, they're relying on pitching, and I still think they have the talent to pull out the NL East and, more importantly, win an NL title. So we'll see how this plays out. And this is not taking a knock on the Phillies. We know they can outscore anybody when those bats like Bryce Harper are banging out home runs, but I still think the pitching is a little bit better on the Braves than the starting five for the Philadelphia Phillies. And we know about Nola and how every time I bet them, it's a dead under, Nola. It's terrible. It's horrible.
That also has moved the Philly World Series number up. Of course, this started way back when at 11. Last week it was plus 850. Now plus 525 for the Phillies, as they have been moving up the board, Joe. And that's also probably because they've had the best record in baseball for the last few weeks now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely they're playing. When Bryce Harper's on, Carver, they're on. We know that, right? Bryce Harper carries that team, so it's not a knock. We know that they always, when they're in stride and they go on a little bit of a heater, they get overextended. It's almost like the luxury tax with the Yankees, the Cowboys, and now the Philadelphia Phillies have it in terms of the NL and the NL East. So we'll see how this plays out. But again, even though Acuna's hurt, still think the best team in that division is the Braves.
On the American League side, the Yankees are plus 250 to win the AL, with the Orioles at 450. And here come the Astros, who actually have lost in Seattle the last couple nights. The Mariners are now to 8-1 to win the AL. Guardians, Rangers in the 10 area, Twins at 11. And everyone's on the Orioles, Joe. Look at that. 28% of the tickets, 34% of the handle, all on Baltimore. And I don't blame them. I think they will eventually overtake the Yankees for first in the division.
They might, but I still lean to the Royals at 16-1. The Rays were like 28-1. And don't count out my Blue Jays. They're starting to score runs. I think they could go on a heater. They play the A's. They play a bunch of gutless teams before the All-Star break. Keep an eye out for the Blue Jays to make some noise.
Wow, how about that? Still going with the Blue Jays with the miserable start that they've had to their season and the rumors that maybe they're going to sell everybody. Joe ain't as scared. He's still going to give it a try. Joe, we will do tonight's games later on here on Coast to Coast. Still several games that we have to get to, though. We'll come back and we'll get the lion's share in with Coach Ferrall. Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe for Scotty. We're back next.
Missed call the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called, or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report, and people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. The brighter the lights, the bigger the stakes. Hunt or be hunted. Know your prey. This is a whole new jungle. This is The Lion's Share. Brought to you by BetMGM.
And we are back for Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us. Of course, BetMGM, they have you ready for NHL playoff action tonight with a brand new betting market that you can only find at BetMGM. How about empty net goal markets for entire slates as well as specific games? Of course, we're down to the specific game category now here with a few left. Find them in the app, on the BetMGM Sportsbook app, under the NHL tab. Then under the props tab, you can also find the specific game markets under each game, along with the NHL props tab. Stars and Oilers tonight, -1, minus money for the empty netter tonight. -105 for that one, as there's been a few in this series so far. So BetMGM taking care of you for the pucks later this evening and the entire NHL playoffs. Speaking of BetMGM, it is time for the Lion's Share, brought to you by BetMGM. And Coach James Young is with us every day here on C2C. Coach, we spent some time yesterday saying how, despite this series being 3-0, that every game was in the balance late. The first three games that Dallas had won in this series. Last night was no different. And finally, Coach, one of those late game results swung the way of the Minnesota Timberwolves to give us another game at Game 5 tomorrow night in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Carver High, good to be on with you as always. We've talked about this. It's a play of the superstars. It's a play of Anthony Edwards, and it's a play of Karl-Anthony Towns, who have not played well at all this series. Well, Carver High, they delivered. They showed up. And what I was so amazed by is, ready for this, folks? People may not remember this. Cat, Ant, and Rudy Gobert all had 3 fouls in the first half. They weathered the storm. They calmed down. Cat only took 3 shots in the first half, 7 for 11 from the floor in the second half, 4 or 5 from 3. And Anthony Edwards, I think he was 6 of 14, but Carver High, 9 assists. You saw a difference of Ant throughout the game. Early on, it was dominate, go to the basket, get to the foul line, keep my team afloat. But in the second half, while he was aggressive, he was also aggressive in the ways of getting other guys the ball. And I thought that was the key thing, was Ant's evolution, Carver High, during the game and trusting his teammates. Now, the concern I'm going to have with Ant is he still throws the ball around the gym too much. He throws to the other team. He's reckless with the ball. But Carver High, the guy almost got us a triple-double in the second half. That's absurd in an elimination game.
That is absurd in an elimination game. And you're right about Cat. He only played 29 minutes with those 25 points because he was in so much foul trouble throughout the entire game. So a huge performance by him. They'll play that Game 5 tomorrow night. He'll give us some plays tomorrow, obviously, here on Coast to Coast. But early lean, Coach, do you think that Dallas, now you're talking about Dallas winning a third road game in this series to close it out. Do you think they get a Game 6 back in Dallas? And will the Mavericks start to sweat if that is the occurrence?
Yes. And if that, you already saw the line being, I think, 4.5, if I'm not mistaken. I saw it earlier today.
Yes.
Maybe even 5.5 in some places. Mike, I think tomorrow could be the blowout. Tomorrow could be where Minnesota puts it all together at home, exciting environment. They played a great half of basketball. Maybe J. Kidd punts a little bit in game number 5. I think we're heading to a Game 6 back in Dallas. And once you get to Game 6, start to tighten up. It's amazing. People don't realize this. The hardest game to win the series, Carver High, is the last one. That's always the toughest one. So this is going to be tough, especially if Minnesota plays well, and I expect them to do a win tomorrow. Game 6, it's tight. And then you never know. At some point, Carver High, someone's going to break this 3-0 curse. Boston almost did it last year. Maybe Minnesota finishes the job, but they got to win Game 5 before they can even see a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, I think you could only really start seriously talking about it if they win tomorrow. I think once they win tomorrow is when you could really start to have those serious conversations. All right, before we get to your picks with the WNBA tonight, tonight is, of course, the deadline for guys that are entered in the NBA draft to turn around and go back to college if they so choose. We've seen guys like Alex Caravan going to go back to UConn, so I'm sure Dan Hurley's thrilled about that. He gets one of his best guys back for next year for another run. But Bronny James will stay in the draft. And, Coach, we've had plenty of discussions about whether he's ready or not or what kind of move this is. I think the interesting thing is now these stories that have come out that he had workouts scheduled with other teams, not going to do those, and that it's just the Phoenix and the Lakers are the two teams that he's going to work out for privately. Power play maybe by LeBron and obviously his camp. That's the stuff that's interesting to me, Coach. Is anyone else biting now? Is this just the Suns and the Lakers he's going to be involved with?
I think it's a very smart play by LeBron in his camp. Because you can look at it as one of two ways. Number one, he cancels the workouts, ready, folks, to drum up interest of other teams. Or, Carver High, and I know this may be wild, I'm about to say this, or you cancel the workouts to hide flaws. I don't think enough people are talking about this. I believe Bronny James can absolutely defend at an NBA level. I really do think so. Coming out of high school, he was thought to be the best defensive guard in the draft. They could play up to a Davion Mitchell, who we know is not a great offensive player, but is a lockdown defender for Sacramento. His problem is his offense. He did pretty well at the draft camp. He's got a couple of workouts scheduled, and now he builds intrigue. Carver, I'm going to say this. The kid's going to go in the first round. I don't know where. I don't know how. He's going in the first round. Because here's the other part I want people to understand really quickly. There was no advantage for Bronny to go back to college. You know why? Number one, 2025 draft is way better than 2024. And two, what happens if he goes back to college and doesn't play well, right? At least with this past year, Carver High, you can say the kid had a heart ailment, he was working his way back, so on and so forth. It's a perfect opportunity for LeBron in his camp. Keep him in the draft. I think he goes first round.
Let's get to your lion's share plays for tonight, Coach. Of course, we have 3 games in the WNBA. Me and Cam did a stat yesterday. Dogs have been barking here, Coach. It's like 73% going into last night in the WNBA so far. And you have a big one, too, tonight with the Mercury and the Liberty, but that's not where you're looking.
No, first thing I'm going to go with is I'm going to go with the Liberty team total over 92.5 points. Now, you look at this team, they're only averaging 83.3. Mercury give up an 86, and the Liberty have been under 4 straight games. But the Mercury are on a back-to-back. They just lost by 23 points on the road at Connecticut. Liberty have not played well. There's no shot blocker or Brittany Griner down low. Liberty score at will. Liberty team total over 92.5 points tonight.
And give me the other 2 as well, Coach. Dream, Mystics, Aces, Lynx.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Dream minus 3.5 on the road. I know they're only 1-3 against the spread this season, but they've only played one bottom feeder team, and they won by double digits. The Mystics are the worst team in the WNBA. Atlanta Dream minus 3.5 on the road. And
late night Vegas is in Minnesota.
This is the surprise team right now. The Minnesota Lynx at 4-1, under 169.5. Look what they did to the New York Liberty. They're the best defensive rating in the WNBA. One of the slowest paces. That goes under 169.5. And I'm going to tell folks something right now. There's a girl on that team named Nafisa Collier. If you don't know, start looking at it. She's flying up the boards. I think she's 3rd or 4th in the MVP race. She could play her way into this conversation, Carver High.
Last night, Coach, first big night for Caitlin Clark. She had a 30-piece for the Fever in that game. So starting to get her bearings a little bit more consistency. We'll see it get better and better as she keeps going. Coach Young, the Lion's Share, brought to you by BetMGM. We're back after this.
The Lion's Share, presented by BetMGM.
Every missed call, the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall, coast to coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Davis Maddock is with us every day on C2C Fantasy Sports Today, Saturday mornings here on the grid. Of course, Davis always gets involved with Golf Wednesdays as well here as we get you ready for the RBC Canadian Open up in Hamilton this weekend. But Davis, what we love about him is he goes even deeper than that. As he's going to have even a selection for the DP World Tour, which is at Glendower this week, of all places in South Africa. And we also have the Women's U.S. Open coming up this weekend as well. So Davis has us ready to go with those. Let's start, Davis, with the PGA and the RBC. Me and Cam did some selections earlier. I like what you're doing. You're going a little deep bomb hunting here. We don't care that we have the one heavy favorite with Rory, a couple other guys like Fleetwood and Tagala, etc. You're going to go a little deeper down the board.
Okay, so, I mean, look, obviously Rory, overwhelming favorite here at this event, as he should be. Maybe not as much as he would be. Remember, they used to play this event at Glen Abbey. Rory won it, actually, when it was at Glen Abbey. And actually, Rory won it when it was at a different course. They haven't played at this course since 2019, I believe. They've rotated it around a little bit. This course, I think, is going to play a little bit more to the wedges. They have what they did is they've renovated it to basically block off some of the bombing alleys for these guys. They've narrowed the fairways. They made the rough a little bit more deep. So we're going a little bit deeper down the board. We are beginning with one Mr. Davis Thompson. I mean, look, we had Davis Riley win last week, so I think it's only right for us to go a little bit further down the board. Thompson having an awesome season. T2 at the Myrtle Beach Classic for him. He is gaining strokes on approach more or less every single week. He's had some truly awful putting performances this year, but also gains a lot of distance off the tee. I really do just want to attack this 55 to 100 to 1 range quite a bit.
Yeah, and you actually go next with an old friend of ours, the Gim Reaper. You're going to get involved with this week, Dougie Gim.
Yeah, Doug Gim, so our friends over at Data Golf have him as one of the better bets of the entire week. He is not riding particularly hot form into this event. He does not have a T8 since the Mexico Open. I mean, look, maybe he just loves country open. So you take him U.S. Open, Canada Open, Mexico Open, that's where you get it. But one of the better approach players on tour, not a particularly strong driver of the golf ball. But again, I'm not thinking you're going to have to crush the driver this week. I think that, I mean, obviously you're going to want to gain strokes for the driver, but I think there are other ways to gain strokes on this course. Mostly it's going to be irons and putting. And then our final guy here was a little bit surprised that our friends at BetMGM were hanging this price 90-1 on Nikolai Hogyard. Now, he's actually been completely brutal since that really strong showing at the Masters. I mean, he was one of the better players in the field at the Masters, totally melted down on Sunday. But a winner on the DP World Tour Championship this year, second at Torrey Pines, couple seconds, couple top fives over on the European Tour, did well at both the Scottish Open and the Open Championship last year. Just an all-around strong player. I mean, 90-1 at this event. I felt more like he was a 50-1 player.
Yeah, you know, he's on my card as well this week, Davis, because when I take that first glance on Monday morning, I try to find 2 or 3 guys that just stick out and go, that price just can't be right. Like that's what you're looking for when you look at those odds first come up. And Højgaard was one of the 2 or 3 names that I immediately looked at and said, this 90-1. Are you kidding me here? So he was an immediate ad for me as well this week. Euro Tour, I know I said before, they're actually Green Eagle in Germany this week is where the DP World Tour is at. And you have a selection for us.
Okay, all right, look, let's just be real. Betting on the DP World Tour right now, I mean, more or less like betting the Korn Ferry Tour. We are getting deep. We are focused in on one Mr. Paul Waring, the official world golf ranking, 228th best player in the world. Data Golf has him as the 157th best player in the world, but really good run of form right now. T10, T3, back-to-back DP World Tour events. No wins over the last year, but has 5 different top 10s, doesn't gain a ton of strokes off the tee, but is one of the more accurate players off the tee in the DP World Championship. A very good links player as well. This is, even in terms of Euro Tour events, not one of their strongest events. So Paul Waring at 40-1 on BetMGM, one of my favorite selections.
Women's U.S. Open this week as well in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Is where they are playing that. Of course, you have Nelly Korda as the heavy favorite with the run that she's been on so far this year. But you have someone who has actually, Davis, been gaining some social media notoriety over the last 24 hours. That's Charlie Hull. Of course, if you've seen the video of the women golfer with the cigarette in her mouth signing all the autographs, that was her, Davis.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. That is definitely what got me to look into her results. I was like, wait, the world number 8 golfer in the world, this woman is just ripping darts on the course. I mean, she's a phenomenal player. I've got a couple things here that you would not believe. The first one being Charlie Hull has finished exactly second in the last calendar year 5 times already. Last calendar year, 5 second-place finishes. So something is going on there. She's definitely a little bit due. I mean, her form is quite good. The other thing I've got for you, Solheim Cup, you know, that is the women's version of the Walker Cup or the President's Cup. Guess who beat Nelly Korda in the Solheim Cup in a 2v2 matchup? One misses Charlie Hull on September 23rd, 2023. So we got deep into the weeds on that one. I actually... you know, I don't know, maybe this is a Caitlin Clark thing. Maybe I've been more locked in on women's sports in general recently. I've been the French Open has been quite good. Naomi Osaka in that crazy match earlier today. But I really wanted a reason to sweat this LPGA other than rooting for Nelly Korda. So Charlie Hull 30-1 on my card.
I got a feeling, especially after that video, you're not going to be alone, Davis. I feel like people are going to be running to Charlie Hull this week and having some good time with her. We have a lot of baseball tonight. Quickly, I only got about 10 seconds left with you, but the Royals are in Minnesota again against the Twins, and I look for them to stay. I like the Royals tonight, Davis.
All right, look, I wasn't going to bet him, but I'm going to go ahead and add him on the card. Lugo pitching against Ober. Let's do it. Let's get it
Lugo,
Let's get in the book.
Let's get Lugo going. Davis Maddock with us. We'll be back tomorrow here on Coast to Coast. We're back right after this.
And any book that has Mason Miller is not only not listed, he's not even priced. Like Colton Cowser is priced as if Mason Miller doesn't exist.
They don't think he's going to meet the innings required, minimum, whatever things. That there might be some stipulation that they're going, we're going to put him in there, and he's not going to be eligible to win. And we're going to have to give all the bets back.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall, Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us. 4-0 still, Joe, for the Rangers in the bottom of the eighth against Arizona. They got first and second with one out as well there in the bottom of the eighth inning as they are looking to extend. The Pirates have a 4-1 lead on the Tigers. Second game of the doubleheader. Skeens is on the mound. How many Ks does he have so far, Joe? 8 strikeouts for Skeens through the first 4 innings. So big start for him. Philly's still up 2-0 on the Giants. Going to the bottom of the fourth, the Dodgers got a Will Smith homer, second day in a row for him, and they take a 1-0 lead there in the bottom of the third. Marlins have a 2-0 lead over the Padres in San Diego, top of the third inning. Everything else tonight, which we will get to momentarily. First, Joe, as I love to give you every week here, the best teams to the over and the under and the money line. We'll start with the over and the unders. The Tigers, Joe, at the top of the heap now, 29 overs so far this year, which is kind of hard for me to believe. 29, 23, and 1. Maybe it's just because the numbers have been so low, Joe. They're hanging 7.5s and 8s with the Tigers almost nightly. Angels, Marlins, Orioles, Giants, and Brewers. Best under, the Braves. That speaks to what I was saying to you, Joe, with them not scoring as much as last year. 30 games to the under. Red Sox, Mariners, Blue Jays, Cubs, and Rangers. Best teams to the over and the under so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you in regards to the Braves. But again, that's why I like them big picture. But I like Toronto on there. 31-22 to the under. They broke out in a big way after they were called out and said they were going to sell the team off. They've gotten a couple of wins against the White Sox. They've been trending to the over. Keep an eye out. I think they could be an over team by the time All-Star break comes.
The best and the worst teams to the money line, who's been getting us to the window and who has not. The Guardians plus 15.4 units so far this year. Yankees, Royals, Brewers, and Nationals. I think the last time we did this, Joe, the Nationals were at the top of this list, so they've slid down a little bit. The worst teams, the White Sox, minus 17 units. Astros, Marlins, and, man, the Blue Jays are on there. Man, Joe feels it, too. The Blue Jays minus 7.7 units so far this year.
You know, the Guardians' record reminds me of the heyday. Manny Ramirez, Jim Tomei, Kenny Lofton, Joey Albert Bell, right? Albert Joey Bell. That's the way they're playing right now. They're a bunch of nobodies, and all they do is go to the window. It's amazing.
So why don't you load up on them then, Joe? You like to put all these 5, 6, 7 leg future parlays together. Why don't you get yourself, instead of backing these teams that don't win like Toronto, why don't you get some Cleveland numbers? Because I got to tell you, despite how good of a start they've had, you still get some fairly juicy numbers, Joe, if you wanted to, on the Guardians. I think that they're 25-1 to win the World Series, 10-1 to win the American League. The division numbers probably still, I think they were down to even money for the division now. But, World Series and AL, Joe, you get yourself some good numbers with them.
Exposure, Carver. It's all about exposure for the portfolio. How about some San Francisco Giant exposure? I think they can make a little bit of a run, too. Yes.
No.
They can.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Giants right now, Joe, 60-1 for the World Series, 30-1 for the National League.
Well,
yeah.
What about the playoff number? What about the playoff number?
Well, you didn't say that that's what you were looking at. You want to go for the playoff number? I'll give you the playoff number. The Giants right now are plus 180 to the yes.
That's great
plus
value. Great value.
No, it's not. No, it's
great value.
They're not that good. You see, that's why it's not. They're just not a good team. They're not as good as some of these other teams.
Clip this right now. Clip it and save it.
Only six teams make the playoffs in the league. And the Phillies and the Dodgers, I've got 2 of them. The Braves have probably got the third one. That leaves 3 spots, Joe. I'm not too sure that the Giants are going to be one of those teams. In fact, Joe, they won't even be in the conversation in September. How about that?
Oh, really? Okay. Who's going to be there?
Yeah.
The Cubs, the Cardinals, the Pirates?
I said it.
Gutless.
Nah, the Cubs will be there. The Cardinals hopefully won't be there. But the Cubs will be there, Joe. Yes, they will. We will come back and we will get into tonight's slate. Full night we got to get to the hockey as well. I've got some football notes for Joe. And hour number 3, too. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe for Scotty. We're back right after this.
At any book that has Mason Miller is not only not listed, he's not even priced. Like Colton Cowser is priced as if Mason Miller doesn't exist.
They don't think he's going to meet the innings required, minimum, whatever things. That there might be some stipulation that they're going, we're going to put him in there and he's not going to be eligible to win. And we're going to have to give all the bets back.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for, so I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note of saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.